The episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, airing Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, is a turning point, an emotionally charged, high-stakes installment that shifts trajectories, closes chapters, and cracks open new paths with ruthless precision. Everything fans have been anticipating, reunions, revelations, farewells, comes to a boil. There's no more waiting. The next phase begins now. For Daphne Rose, the game has changed. What started as a calculated plan, strategically inserted into Forrester Creations by Steffy Forrester Finnegan, was supposed to be her grand debut, her moment to prove herself indispensable by dismantling the dangerous bond between Carter Walton and Hope Logan. Steffy's mission was clear: use Daphne to exploit any weakness between the COO and Hope, and protect the family legacy from further damage. Daphne, charming, ambitious, seductive, was more than willing to play her part. But Daphne miscalculated. No matter how flawless her tactics, no matter how enticing her presence, she couldn't force Carter's heart to look away from Hope. Her advances, her flirtations, her invitations to forget the past, none of it worked. Carter never strayed. His loyalty to Hope never wavered, even when the circumstances around them were drowning in misunderstanding and emotional fog. For Daphne, that rejection stung. Her assignment failed. Her hopes for something real with Carter died before they ever had the chance to live. But if Daphne is anything, it's resilient. The storyline is pivoting, and Daphne is pivoting with it. The fallout of her failure with Carter isn't her ending, it's her beginning. With the Carter gambit dead and Steffy stepping back from the revenge playbook, Daphne now finds herself encouraged to do something unfamiliar: focus on herself. Will Spencer, Zend Forrester Dominguez, and Elektra Forrester have all rallied around her, pushing her to channel her energy, creativity, and ambition into launching an entirely new line at Forrester Creations. This isn't a rebound project. This is a renaissance. A legitimate second act where Daphne steps out of the shadows of scandal and into the spotlight of her own merit. For the first time, Daphne will be writing her own story. Not chasing someone else's man. Not serving as someone else's tool. And with Zend and Elektra in her corner, the creative potential is limitless. This new direction could mark a genuine transformation, one where Daphne finally builds something she doesn't have to steal. Meanwhile, the emotional center of this episode belongs to Hope Logan. Her world has been collapsing in silence. The choice to stay by Liam Spencer's side as he nears death was never about love rekindled. It was about closure. About giving the father of her child peace. But Carter, unaware of Liam's terminal diagnosis, had every reason to believe Hope was slipping away. He heard her say the words. Heard her tell Liam she wanted to be with him. And for a man who spent months trying to reclaim the love they once shared, that was devastating. But now, that misunderstanding will be shattered. In this episode, Hope opens up. She reveals the truth Carter never saw coming. Liam is dying. He has a brain tumor. It's inoperable. He doesn't have long. Everything Carter overheard was rooted not in betrayal, but in compassion. Hope had to tell Liam what he needed to hear in his final days, not because she no longer loved Carter, but because Liam deserved dignity as he faced the end. Carter is rocked. His shock is immediate and overwhelming. The idea of Liam, so full of life, so central to the complicated web of their shared lives, dying is almost too much to process. But layered within that grief is another, quieter emotion: relief. Hope still loves him. She still sees a future. She hasn't abandoned their dream. She's simply making one last sacrifice, one final gesture of love and respect for a man she once thought she'd build her life with. For Carter, this revelation shifts everything. He no longer has to question where he stands. The confusion, the doubts, the sting of perceived rejection, all of it begins to fade. What remains is clarity, and with it, a renewed sense of purpose. He can wait. He can be strong. He can hold the line while hope does what she must. Because now he knows it's him she's coming back to. But not everyone gets a happy ending. At the hospital, Liam sits down with Dr. Grace Buckingham, holding on to a shred of hope that maybe the scans were wrong. Maybe there's still a chance. Grace, steady and clinical, delivers the worst kind of truth. Not only is there no improvement, but the disease is progressing faster than they initially feared. The tumor is aggressive. Time is shorter than expected. It's a crushing blow. Liam, already emotionally stretched from trying to say goodbye to his daughter, now learns he may have even less time than the meager weeks he was promised. The clock is not just ticking, it's sprinting toward the inevitable. Liam's mind goes straight to his children. To Beth. To Kelly. How do you prepare your children for a life without you when they're too young to understand? How do you explain death to a child who still believes in bedtime stories? These questions haunt him. They chase him through every waking moment, and now, with Grace's confirmation, the pressure is suffocating. He wants more time, not for himself, but for them. More mornings, more meals, more small, unforgettable moments. But that time is slipping. And there's no medical breakthrough waiting in the wings. No last-minute clinical trial. No miracle cure. Back home, Hope and Steffi have become an unlikely front. The longtime rivals have buried their animosity in the face of something greater. They've formed a pact, not one written in words, but in action. They've chosen peace, not just for the sake of Liam, but for the sake of their daughters. And Brooke Logan, once a vocal opponent of Steffi, now watches this fragile alliance with a complicated mix of admiration and concern. Brooke sees the toll this is taking on her daughter. She sees Hope carrying the weight of everyone's grief, holding it together for Liam, for Beth, for Steffi, for Carter. And Brooke does what any mother would. She supports, she listens, and she waits. She doesn't try to push Hope one way or the other. She simply reminds her that love is never wasted. That what she's doing is brave. And that when this ends, Carter will be there, if it's meant to be. As the episode builds toward its final moments, the atmosphere grows heavier. Liam begins to write letters, words he wants his daughters to have when he's gone. Letters filled with love, advice, memories, hopes for futures he'll never see. He records a message, a video for Beth, one for Kelly, one for Hope, one for Steffi. Each one a goodbye disguised as encouragement. Each one a dagger in the heart. There is no reprieve, no twist that delays the inevitable. Only the march toward a day when Liam won't be there anymore. And in that looming absence, everyone is left to ask themselves, what do we do with the time we have left? Daphne finds purpose. Hope finds courage. Carter finds faith. Brooke finds strength. And Liam, with everything stripped away, finds peace. In the days ahead, more tears will fall. More hearts will break. But in the quiet moments between the chaos, love will survive. Because that is what the bold and the beautiful has always understood. That even in tragedy, life doesn't stop. It reshapes. It continues. And somewhere in the aftermath of loss, something new begins. The chapter closes. But the story is far from over. The bold and the beautiful is no stranger to shocking twists, emotional goodbyes, or miraculous returns from the dead, but as we inch closer to the May 21st, 2025 episode and the pivotal summer ahead, one thing is becoming heartbreakingly clear: Liam Spencer is running out of time. His diagnosis, an inoperable brain tumor, has rocked everyone in his orbit. While he puts on a brave face for his daughters, the reality behind the scenes is grim, and every beat of the story is echoing with finality. Or is it? With actress Jacqueline MacInnes Wood, Steffi Forrester Finnegan, preparing for maternity leave in real life, the show is also aligning her character's arc in a way that could provide both narrative drama and a convenient off-screen exit. Rumors are now intensifying that Steffi may whisk Liam out of Los Angeles on a last-ditch effort to find a miracle cure, potentially in Switzerland. Longtime fans will immediately recall how Eric Forrester once faced a similar terminal situation, only to return with a clean bill of health, thanks to advanced European medicine. So, is history about to repeat itself? This Switzerland theory isn't far-fetched at all. The show has long been fascinated with European doctors, secret experimental treatments, and second chances for its core characters. If Liam is put on a plane under the pretense of seeking a rare clinical trial, it opens the door for multiple outcomes. Either we watch him fight for his life in another country and possibly recover, or we receive news that he died overseas, setting up a death that could later be reversed in classic soap opera fashion. Yes, we're talking about the time-honored tradition of an off-screen death followed by a surprise return, complete with memory loss, a new identity, or a mysterious savior. Imagine it. Months from now, Hope and Carter are building their life together, possibly even planning a wedding, when suddenly Liam returns, disoriented, unsure of who he is, but alive. It's melodramatic gold, and B&B has pulled off wilder twists before. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because for now, Liam is still in Los Angeles, grappling with the cold truth delivered by Dr. Grace Buckingham. The scans are conclusive. His condition is deteriorating faster than anyone predicted. There's no sign of improvement. Grace's face says it all. Hope is slipping away, and the only thing left is time, whatever little remains of it. This is where the story is anchoring its emotional core, in the countdown. The ticking clock. Liam, desperate to make his remaining days count, starts preparing the kind of goodbyes that leave viewers gutted. Handwritten letters. Recorded videos. Messages for Beth and Kelly, for Steffi and Hope. Words meant to carry on when he no longer can. The image of a father preparing his children for life without him, while they're still too young to even grasp the concept, is brutal, raw, and painfully real. Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles, Carter and Hope are inching closer together. What began as emotional support is evolving into something deeper. With Liam's health declining and the future uncertain, the emotional vacuum left behind is pulling them back into each other's orbit. Carter, initially blindsided by Hope's closeness to Liam, now understands the truth. She wasn't betraying him, she was saying goodbye. And now that the air has cleared, the road ahead is once again open, even if it's paved in grief. There's speculation that Carter may propose by the end of the summer, especially if Hope, broken and brave, decides to move forward after Liam's passing. It's not unusual for characters in the soap universe to seek meaning in love after loss. Weddings are not just about romance, they're about restoration, about putting pieces back together. If this happens, it wouldn't just be a twist of the heart, it would be the beginning of a new power couple, forged in heartbreak. But one big, glaring question remains: where's Bill Spencer? Liam's father has been inexplicably absent during what is arguably the most harrowing chapter in his son's life. No visits, no calls, no dramatic confrontations. For a man as fiercely protective and emotionally volatile as Dollar Bill, this absence is glaring. It makes no sense, unless it's intentional. Unless the writers are holding Bill's reappearance for a carefully timed, emotionally explosive twist. Imagine it, just as Liam is about to be flown out of the country, or as Hope sits at his bedside, a door bursts open. And in walks Bill, accompanied by a brilliant European specialist from Stockholm or Zurich, armed with a cutting-edge treatment plan and just enough hope to reignite the fight. It's a move straight from the BNB playbook. Bill's return could coincide with a medical breakthrough, or at least a desperate Hail Mary attempt that delays Liam's death long enough for one last chapter, one that gives Liam more time with his children, or sets up his long-term recovery. Alternatively, it could be too late, and Bill's appearance could serve as a final moment of reconciliation between father and son before the end. Either way, fans are expecting something massive from the writers. This kind of narrative doesn't leave room for anything less. There's also the very real possibility that Steffi and Liam don't just go to Switzerland for treatment, but actually disappear from the canvas for a stretch of time. This would allow both Jacqueline MacInnes to take her maternity leave and the show to plant the seeds for a future storyline involving Liam's fate. Will they announce Liam's death overseas in a tragic update? Will there be no body, no confirmation, no closure, just heartbreak and mystery? It's a classic soap trope. No body, no proof. And in the world of the bold and the beautiful, that's as good as a resurrection certificate. As for the countdown itself, it's merciless. The writers are pulling no punches. Reports hint that upcoming episodes will be heavy with emotional weight. Expect scenes of Liam cradling Beth. Quiet conversations with Steffi where both try to hold back tears and pretend to be strong. Hope breaking down in Carter's arms after yet another hospital visit. Brooke and Ridge putting aside differences to rally around the children. And somewhere, through it all, Grace standing firm, her clinical clarity a haunting reminder that this isn't a nightmare, it's real. We're approaching a crescendo that could rival some of the biggest storylines in BNB history. It's not just about whether Liam lives or dies, it's about how everyone else survives the fallout. How they cope, who they become, and what they're willing to risk for one last chance at love, healing, or redemption. For now, fans are left clinging to theories. Maybe Liam dies and stays gone, giving Hope and Carter a clean slate. Maybe he dies and comes back with no memory of Hope, complicating everything. Maybe he doesn't die at all. Maybe Switzerland, or Bill Spencer, or some unnamed European doctor turns the tide at the last possible second. Maybe the miracle happens. Or maybe it doesn't. Whatever happens, one thing is undeniable. The bold and the beautiful is crafting a storyline that cuts deep, aimed straight at the heart. And as we hurtle toward the climax, viewers are bracing for impact. This is the kind of story that reshapes everything. The kind that scars characters for life. The kind that turns summer romance into summer grief. And then, maybe, back into love again. Get your tissues ready. The final countdown has begun.